everybody. I have been wanting to make this video for a very long time. I love vintage hair. I love styling hair. I love roller sets. I love the history, the technicality, everything about it. And I want to share with you what I have learned through over a decade of trying to figure out the mysteries of styling vintage hair. And it's so easy to think that it is something that is so overly complicated, overly fussy, and you need a professional to help you with it, or expensive courses or something else. But I'm going to tell you today that it's really, really not that hard. And there's a lot of mystery around it. And maybe there shouldn't be, because if you think about it, every woman, or mostly every woman in America or wherever you're from, was doing their hair like this at some point in time. So if they can do it and figure it out, you can too. First, I just want to say that you do not need a midi haircut. And we talk about this a lot and explore the intricacies of the midi haircut, but I think that it makes it harder to style your hair if you have a midi yourself. And I want to say that I believe that the midi haircut was excellent back in the day, whenever you had hair salons at every corner that all knew how to do your vintage roller set, and you would go in once a week, keep it nice until you go back again, or maybe a few times a week. But we don't have that luxury today. People don't really know how to do vintage hair today. Even in beauty school, whenever I went, we were taught finger waves. We were taught like the basic kind of 60s style roller sets, but you're not really taught how to do the kind of hair that we are all trying to achieve, like the beautiful, like Lauren Bacall, wavy, kind of voluminous brush outs. So what I want to get into is how to do that for yourself. And I would say that if you have a midi, awesome if you're skilled with that, but it's going to make it harder to curl your hair when it's wet, because you're going to get a lot of little different lengths of layers kind of popping out everywhere, and that's enough to make anyone want to throw in the towel and never try again. So I would highly recommend that if you want to try vintage hair, that you have a haircut that's mostly one length. And I will tell you that if you have a couple of layers in the front of your face that are shorter, starting from maybe your chin and down, if your hair is about my length, it can go a little higher if your hair is shorter. But if you have your hair mostly one length, it's going to be so much easier to style, especially when it's wet. So you can start with that and then go to a midi once you're super confident, or if you have some helping hands, wonderful. But you don't need to worry about that. And a lot of women had just one length, or it was just a little bit shorter in front, and then it kind of it sort of graduated from an angle to just get longer at the back. So if you just go for a U-shaped haircut, that works too. But like I said, I've just had the best success with having my hair mostly one length. So don't worry about the cut, is all I'm trying to say. And back then, we also don't talk about this very often, but most women had perms. Pretty much every woman had a perm. That's something that people just don't really do today. And the perms that you see today and that we know from the 80s are not really the same or what we want. And I mean, even back then, they were very damaging. If you look at photographs from back then, you will see lots of women with very, very poofy, frizzy hair, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it can be lovely. And I like my hair a little bit poofy sometimes, but I think now there's more of a taste for a very smooth, shellacked look, which isn't really my style, but I do appreciate the artistry and time that goes into a super sprayed, super shaped and sculptured hairstyle, but that's not really what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about touchable, soft hair with lots of volume that should be able to hold for at least a day. I know that the idea is you put in your roller set and it lasts you all week, but I don't think that's realistic. It's not for me anyways. I usually have to style my hair with rollers the night before if I want to have a very nice looking brush out the next day, because I like to and kind of need to take a shower or a bath each day. I have like a scalp condition where my head gets really itchy if I don't wash my hair 2 or 3 times a week. So the once a week brush out is not really realistic for me. So I would much rather do my hair and set it a couple of times a week than have to go through trying to make my set last for as long as possible. But if you don't have any problems and you're able to do that, I'd highly recommend getting the good setting lotion and sleeping in a way that doesn't disturb your hair too much, and a shower cap for the shower. If you can make it last as long as you can and you're not uncomfortable, amazing, and more power to you. My method is still going to work for you. And you know, it's obviously helpful if you have some wave to your hair already, like what I have kind of going on with my natural hair. But if it's straight, you might need a little bit more product. Like I said, if that doesn't bother you, even better. For me, I have used like a hair balm, and I'm not endorsing this product or selling it or anything like that, but this is what I have. And any sort of like balm is going to work when your hair is wet to just brush it through it. So you have some sort of hold. A lot of women have luck with the Lotta Body setting spray, and you just mix that up with water in a spray bottle and spray your hair down and brush it through. And that's also going to help with hold. So just having something that's going to help with shine and hold is really, really nice. And then for after, you definitely want to have a pomade. Mine is from LBCC Apothecary, and this is from Etsy, and they actually use lard, rosewater, lemon, and some essential oils, I think. Yeah, violets, jasmine. So it has, I would say, more less chemical ingredients, and this actually works for my hair so well. I have kind of medium thick hair, and I would say if you have medium to thick hair, you definitely want a really good pomade to make your hair not so frizzy and soft. And it will make it soft, but not frizzy. And one more thing I wanted to say is you can also use a hairnet if you like a more structured, less poofy kind of free look. And those can work really, really well for just kind of keeping your hair in place if you're going out for the day and you're wearing a hat especially. Definitely experiment with a hairnet, because the style that I really like to do, just a nice brush out with waves, it's so fantastic, but it doesn't always look the best in a hairnet unless you have a very loose and large one, which I haven't been able to find yet. But I will say that it's not really the best for inclement weather. It's just more of a event, like if the weather's great, you can wear it outside all day. You just might want to bring a hairbrush with you and brush your hair every so often, because it can get a little wild. So again, I like that. I don't mind it. I like having more natural, touchable, soft hair, and that's very 40s. It is very period correct. And one more thing before I get started, I just wanted to also say that you don't have to have super tight curls to have authentic vintage hair. If you look in the 1940s in some catalogs, I'm going to show you a couple of pictures that I found. Some of these women have a mostly one length haircut, maybe sort of a page boy cut, like with the angles towards the front, like I was telling you, but they just kind of curled it under. So if you have a round brush in a hairdryer, or if you have one of those Revlon round brushes that you plug in that's supposed to dry your hair as it curls it, I would recommend using those on 98% dry hair. I don't recommend using them on wet hair, but if you do just want like a nice simple page boy curl under, those are perfect. And I have used those whenever my hair was about this long, I would say just above my shoulders. And if you just flip it under, you have this really nice, simple, true vintage look. And if you get a comb or a little pin and you just push your hair back like this, even if it's all one length, that will make this part shorter and will make it look almost like a page boy. So that's a really good way to fake it or experiment if you want to wait on getting layers or to angle your hair a little bit. I always say just get a little comb or a pin or some bobby pins and just brush it straight back and pin it here, and you'll kind of see the beginning of that layered look, just like a light version. So there's lots to think about, lots to experiment with, but again, I just want to tell you this isn't that hard, and you can learn to do your own hair and do it as often as you'd like. You could have this hairstyle every night of the week or every day of the week if you want to, as long as you can grow accustomed to sleeping in these. So I got these off of Amazon, and I can definitely link this. They are just pink pillow rollers. If you look up pillow rollers, you are going to find this, and they are basically like a sponge roller inside with a wire going through them covered in fabric, and these are the softest, best thing I found to sleep on. Next to hand pin curls, which I do not like to do, A, because they can be inconsistent if you're not rolling them all equally and perfectly, and B, they take forever in comparison to these, and I have pretty thick hair and it does not take me long. It takes me maybe 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes tops to set my hair at night, and that really helps if you're kind of if you're feeling lazy or just not wanting to do too much, that it's not too ridiculous and it's not something you have to dread. So I have two sizes. If you have hair that is slightly below your shoulder length or longer, I'd recommend the pink size. I believe these are about an inch thick, and then these ones are probably like a half or 3/4 inch, and these are for shorter hair, and I've used these like so often. They're just wonderful. I've used these when my hair was shorter all the way, and then if you have like bangs or shorter layers in front, I would just recommend putting these in your hair if you have long hair. So I'm going to go ahead and start. All I did was I brushed my hair, I brushed the hair balm through my hair. I did not put pomade in until after it's dry, and I found my part. My hair just looks the best parted here. You could easily do a middle part for a more authentic look. And by authentic look, I just mean this is authentic, but for some people, a middle part is their preferred authentic look. You can do either parting and have it, be true to the time period. So I parted my hair, and then I just divided my hair in the back kind of in two because I'm going to work in halves because that's the most easy thing for me to do. I think it's important to start using your fingertip as a comb. So I like to section out. It doesn't have to be perfect because with these pillow rollers, it's just not as big of a problem if the partings aren't perfect like it is with if you're doing hand pin curls. So I just like to do, I try my best to get a straight, even part underneath, and here on the side, about this thick. I have shorter bangs, so I'm just trying to take care of those right now, and I just use this one shorter pillow roller, and I tuck in the ends as I go up. Just use your fingers to smooth them in and roll it. And the most important thing that I also forgot to tell you is you want all of your rollers to be going in the same direction. To make it easy, I just do all of mine down and under. I don't do it like this, like flipping up. I do it underneath. And then I just have all of them going the same exact direction. That's what's going to create that beautiful Lauren Bacall, Veronica Lake wave pattern in your hair without having to really do anything except just brush it out. And I always saw those hairstyles, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, they must have spent hours just making those finger waves and clipping them and spraying them. But if you do it right, you'll just have to brush it out and you'll have these beautiful, beautiful waves. So all I'm doing now is I'm switching to the pink rollers, and my section, it's not perfectly square and it can pull a little bit if it's not. So if that bothers you, just use a comb, use a brush, or use your fingertip is kind of a way to make these partings. And I would say that I usually try to make mine about an inch thick each time I pick up a chunk of hair and put it in my roller. So go for about an inch. I use my knuckle to measure roughly because I don't like to carry a ruler around with me and measure everything and every time I do it. So I just kind of measure once my first knuckle stops. That's as thick as I'm going to take my sections, and I roll it up, 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 up. And when you roll it up, you want to hold your hair away from your head a little bit. You don't want to do it like this unless you're kind of down towards the bottom, because if you hold it up like this will give you a little more volume on the top, and this is for low volume. High volume, low volume, and whenever you're higher up on the top of your head, you want more volume. And then you just flip it up and secure it, and we're just going to keep working. So with 40s hairstyles, the most of your tight curls and waves will be on the top, sides, and sides, top and sides. And then the back will have those lower, they're called off base curls, but they're the lower, less volume curls, because we kind of want like a smoother flat crown, or a smoother flat back area here, so you can wear your hats and it just has that authentic look. So I'm just gonna hold this up a little bit as I roll it up, because I want just a little bit more volume here. And you honestly don't need, I have a little hair here, so I'm gonna, if you see these pieces sticking out, you really want to try and go back and tuck them in so you don't have a ton of weird flyaway pieces in your brush out. And I know I have some up here too at the top. But with my shorter bangs, sometimes I can't really control that. But with the longer pieces, definitely try your best to get them in. And sometimes adding a little bit more moisture to them will help. So I just did my two right here on the side. Those are my front pieces. And now I can start doing the simpler, less volume pieces. So all I'm going to do is take my thumb and I'm going to kind of measure about that not super thick, but I'm going to kind of do a section that is long but thin. So that part is about 1 inch wide, and I'm going to do that all the way across the back, so like long and thin. And then these are going to be close to the neck to, again, give that really nice authentic 40s style. Just make sure you're tucking in those ends as you go up, and it doesn't have to be completely perfect. You'll still get beautiful hair. And as I go around, you're going to see these just kind of form a U shape around my head. So just keep taking those little long sections. You don't even have to use a mirror or anything. Just make sure they're not too thick. They can be thick this way, but you just don't want the actual section of hair to be super thick. Like when you bunch it all together, it's still about 1 inch thick. It's just separated in kind of like a long thin strip. And that's going to, again, give you that Lauren Bacall, Katharine Hepburn sort of look. And it can feel sometimes a little thick on the roller, but as long as your hair isn't too wet, it should be dry by morning. And the drier your hair, the less time it will take for your curls to dry and set. Some people would probably argue that the wetter your hair, the better the hold for the set would be, but I've never found that to really be the case. If I'm around a higher moisture environment, it doesn't matter how wet my hair was whenever I originally set it, they'll still come out. So I say to just work with your hair mostly dry if you can, and you're going to get nice even settings as long as you just go step by step and don't miss any hair as you make your way around the back in that U shape. And I'm taking all of the hair and really trying hard to just leave this spot straight. And if you pull this and add tension to it, then it will be nice and straight and smooth on the back crown of your head. And then again, use that tension to kind of roll up. You don't have to, break your hair or anything, making it super tight, but you just want to make sure it's firm. And if they turn out to be a little bit looser as you make your way back around and go back through, then you can fix it and redo it. And by doing it like this in kind of like a straight, even line / pattern, you're going to make it so much easier to fix them if you need to fix them and go back and recurl them. So I'm just continuing to go around. The more you do this, the faster you'll become. And it's okay if your hair feels like it's almost dry, because like I said, I like to wake up with dry hair. I live in a humid environment and things don't dry as quickly as they did when I lived in Arizona. So I'm halfway done right now. This part is all flat. You see more and more crown as you get closer to the center back of the head. It shouldn't have any spots that pull really badly. If it does, you can always take it out, adjust it, figure out where the issue is. Now I'm just going to do the same thing on this side, and it will be less time because this is my side with less hair according to my parting. And I just use the big pink rollers because my hair is long enough. I only use the small one for the bangs or any short areas. And for my front, that's the only area where I put one kind of high up on my temple area. And then you just want to take everything in front of the ear, and we're rolling everything underneath. And to start these, if you wanted to see that again, I take the end, wrap it around first, hold it kind of tight, and then roll under and up quickly. And we're just going to continue working the same way. I just like to take all of my hair like this and just feel it out. And you'll start to get so good at this that you can just feel what the right consistency, thickness is. It's great. It becomes intuitive. And then I wrap the ends around first, hold them, and then you can go quick. And roll it up to the scalp until it kind of hits the scalp and feels like there's not a lot of slack left. They can wiggle and move a little bit. You don't want them so tight you're getting a headache, but you do want them to be firm, especially if you're sleeping on them. It is so easy for them to fall out, and that is why I'm going to show you what I do to keep them from falling out while I'm sleeping, because that's the hardest thing, that and learning how to sleep with bumpy things on your head. I don't know if I'll ever get used to it. I'm hoping I will. Sometimes it's a little slippery. And sometimes it's going to look like they're on top of each other right around this area, but I really am just keeping it as close to the edge of my hairline as possible, all around my head. I see so many setting patterns that were in salon manuals and hairstyling magazines from the 40s and 30s and probably 50s. They use so many bobby pins or those little curl clips, and I just wish I could go back in time and have someone do my hair that knew how to do it like it was nothing and have it come out like that. I still would love to master the skip waves and like the lifted, carved waves that a lot of women would have kind of in the front of their hair. I haven't figured that one out yet. You can get a similar look just by using these curlers and waves, though. I swear it's mostly everything I've ever seen in a magazine where I thought, how do they do that? A lot of it can be achieved this way. So I'm hoping that this is demystifying some of it for you. So right now I have my pillow rollers in. I would say these are as cute as you can hope for. I've tried the really hard plastic rollers before. I don't recommend those. They're so uncomfortable. So what I do is, after I've put all these in my hair securely, you can kind of see the back here, and everything feels pretty good. I have this terry cotton turban that I found at a thrift store. I'm sure it's from the 70s or 80s. It is not 40s, but you want a close fitting, but not so tight it's going to give you a headache. It's like loose, but still fitted turban. And it's so old, it has paint splatters on it. I've painted rooms wearing this with curlers in my hair. It's a relic, and I hope that it never falls apart. But anyways, I use this, and it keeps my curlers in place. You'll definitely want to use something. If you don't have one of these, I would keep an eye out and look for one. A scarf can work in a pinch, but sometimes they fall out. So I just take this and I put it over my curls so you can see it's still a little bit loose, but it's still firm enough to keep everything in place. And it's not the most beautiful look, but it's cute enough. I've left the house wearing this before in a pinch. It's cute enough. Anyways, it's not always about looking cute. This is about function. So I keep this in all night and I sleep this way. And I mean, it works pretty well. And if you don't have one of these, I'll show you how I tie the scarves. I put it in a triangle. It's a pretty long scarf. I fold it in half so it's a triangle. You put the pointy part right here in the middle of your forehead, and then you tuck this part in the back underneath your curls. You bring up both of these edges. You make sure this pointy part is pulled kind of tight in the middle so it doesn't fall. And then you just do one tie, and then you tuck in everything you need to tuck to make sure everything's kind of tight and snug. And by pulling this through, you keep this covered and protected. And then you can go ahead and do a bow or whatever you like. And then take this middle part that was the point and just tuck it in as firmly as you can somewhere. So this is definitely a cuter look than the black turban, but if I'm going to sleep in something, it's going to be a turban because these things just don't allow anything to fall out and slip. Otherwise, you'll wake up in the middle of the night with half wet curls and little pink rollers all over the bed. At least I have, and I'm not that intensive a sleeper. So I'm just warning you ahead of time. I wouldn't want you to go through all that hard work and then wake up and be like, several of these fell out and now my hair is weird and wacky looking and half curled. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I am going to upload the rest tomorrow whenever this is dry and I brush out my hair, and I'll show you the results. And I really do hope to see yours as well. So I will be back with you in the morning. Hi everybody. So we fast forwarded to the next day and my hair has had time to set and dry. I ended up taking a shower, and what happens with the shower with your hair all covered up like this is the steam actually kind of helps to further cement your curls into place. It'll get them just damp enough so the heat from your scalp and the slight moisture will kind of like make your curls better. I don't know how else to explain it. And then they dry and then set, and then in the morning you have this really nice hairstyle without having to set your hair while it's wet and have a very long drying time. So this is great for anyone that wants more immediate results. So I'm going to start taking them out. And it's a little frizzy and a little loose because I was sleeping on it, and it's really not so bad once you get used to it. It's probably the most comfortable sleeping arrangement for hair, aside from the pin curls that kind of just lay flat on your head that are sort of more complicated to add to your hair and style. So it doesn't matter which order you take these out in. I just take them out whatever's closest to my hands at the moment. You don't want to rip them out. Please protect your hair. Take your time. And it's normal, like I said, if your hair's a little bit frizzy, that's what pomade. And if you want to use hairspray, that's what those things are for. I'd rather have frizzy hair, a little bit frizzy, than have to maybe go about styling my hair in a more tedious way. And one thing that some people use, if you find that you have taken your curls out and a couple of them aren't looking right, they might be a little crooked or something, you could always use heat styling. I would recommend a small-ish, like an inch if you have longer hair like me, barrel curling iron, and then curling it the same way you did the rollers, like under and up, and then pinning it until it dries. You're going to get a somewhat similar look. It'll blend in well enough. And some people, they use hot sticks, which I don't believe you can really buy those anymore. I found mine at a thrift store, and I have a couple sets of them somewhere in storage, but they work pretty well. They do damage your hair though if you use them too much, so I would just recommend to only use heat styling in a pinch, because I don't want you to have to cut your hair off because you abused it a little too much through all this styling, because it can take wear it can take a beating really if you use too much of it, and that's why I highly recommend to just do either a wet set or a dry set and just do it overnight and try to avoid heat styling. Then you can maintain your hair, still get the authentic sort of styling, and everybody's happy. So it's a little crazy right now, but that's okay. It always looks like this. Some people like to finger brush first. I usually just start brushing. I have like a ordinary flat brush right here for thick hair. Start at the bottom. Right now we're just worried about detangling. Yeah, we're just worried about detangling everything and getting your hair kind of like ready for the finishing. And I was trying to not fast forward anything and to show you every step of the way so you know that it's kind of normal if it looks a little disheveled at first. Every time I do my hair it kind of looks like that, and then I don't want you to panic because it's so easy to want to run to the bathroom and wash your hair out because it does not look the way you were imagining it. But just keep brushing until it's smooth, and then it starts to look a little more familiar, like what you want. Okay, so it's pretty smooth right now. I have exceptionally tangle-prone hair, but I always try and carry a brush with me whenever I'm doing 40s hair because I feel like I have to just take care of that more when my hair is curly. So I have this pomade from LBCC Apothecary. I got this on Etsy, and they use vintage labels and recipes. I only put a tiny bit on my fingertips. I just want to show you, you really don't want to use much. Then you just want to rub it into your hands. They'll be a little shiny. And then just use your fingertips and your palms very lightly to distribute this through your hair as evenly as you can. I like to do a final smooth over everything before I do my brush out, my final brush out, and just make sure that your hair is looking a little bit shiny and smooth and just kind of better than how you started. So I'll start on this side first. I like to kind of create this curl right here. If you have bangs, this is helpful. All I do is I take my non-dominant hand and I'll use my finger to kind of keep in place where I want the curl to start, and then I'll just take the brush and smooth everything forward, and then I'll just hold where that curl was formed and then brush down. I just do that for my bangs because they're short right now and they're not as even with the rest of my hair. But usually all I do is I take the non-dominant hand and hold my hair, and then take the brush, brush it around the side of your thumb, and then smooth it with your thumb and your pointer finger as you move down, and then slowly just move down. Keep brushing it around your hand, and then release it, and it will look pretty nice. So same thing with the other side. You don't have to do what I'm doing right here with my finger to kind of like shape it around. It's almost like it's just extra. So you're kind of just forming a wave by putting your finger here, brushing it forward, and then putting your hand down to keep it still, and then just brushing it like kind of backwards. And then when you brush out the rest of the hair, you just don't really touch that top part. And then do the same thing where you just hold it with your non-dominant hand and then brush it over the thumb, and then kind of pinch it between your thumb and your pointer finger as you smooth it down until you're at the bottom of your hair. And that looks pretty good. You'll see that my hair length is considerably shortened when I curl it. It's usually down to here, so that's normal. But I would say that I use this method pretty much every time I do my hair. It comes out a little differently every time. and you'll just want to know that it's not foolproof as far as you're going to get a perfect looking result every single time, but I will say that it is very reliable if you want to be like 95% sure of how your hair is going to look. And it's easy enough. You don't need a whole lot of materials. You can do it yourself with practice. I would say just give yourself a few rounds of practice before you decide to plan for a big event so you can feel confident in your styling abilities. I just kind of want to show you the back of my hair. I'm going to turn, and you will see that the back is pretty smooth. The back is smooth, there's some waves in it, and then the ends are curly. That's what we want. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'm so happy to help. And you can finish it with hairspray, you can finish it with combs. If you've never put in a comb before, all you do is just take your hair back like this, put the comb in facing your face, and you might have to mess with it a few times. I probably would if I was wearing this, but it's so simple. And then again, it gives you that authentic look. So play around with it and let me know how it went. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you check out my other videos.